sound you hear is fake, completely invented by humans. A real Tyrannosaurus Rex never made that roar. But there is a recording, one that scientists kept sealed for 3 years before releasing it, because it was too terrifying. Yes, it did make a sound, just not one your ears could ever hear. Your body, however, would still receive it. Your chest tightens. Your heartbeat falls out of rhythm. A fear that seems to seep straight out of your bones. You haven't even seen it yet, but your body is already shaking. Scientists call it infrasound. Frequencies below 20 Hz. The dead zone of human hearing. For 30 years, Jurassic Park fooled everyone. That iconic roar? Just a mix of lions, elephants, and crocodiles. The real Tyrannosaurus didn't need to roar. If it ever spoke, your organs would surrender before you did. And no, I'm not making this up. When Jurassic Park premiered in 1993, sound designer Gary Richstrom received an impossible task. He had to create the voice of an animal that had been extinct for 66 million years. No reference, no recordings, nothing. So what did he do? He went to the San Francisco Zoo and recorded the scream of a baby elephant. The elephant only cried once. The keeper said he had never heard it make that sound before. But that single cry was slowed down, stretched out, then blended with a tiger's roar and a crocodile's growl. And that became the sound your brain automatically plays whenever you hear the words Tyrannosaurus Rex. Every time the T-Rex opens its mouth in the film, it's the same recording of that baby elephant. A baby elephant, not even weaned yet, defined humanity's imagination of the greatest predator in Earth's history. Doesn't that seem a little absurd? But here's the real question. If the movie sound is fake, what did the real Tyrannosaurus actually sound like? To answer that, you first need to understand one thing. What organ did dinosaurs use to make sound? When you speak, you use vocal cords in your larynx. 2 folds of muscle tissue. Air passes through them. They vibrate, and sound is produced. Birds are different. They have something called a syrinx, deep in the chest, where the windpipe splits. A syrinx can produce 2 different sounds simultaneously, from 2 separate airways. That's why birds can create such complex songs. So what about dinosaurs? Did they have vocal cords? Or a syrinx? This question puzzled paleontologists for decades, because both vocal cords and syrinxes are soft tissue, muscle and cartilage doesn't fossilize. You can dig up a perfect dinosaur skeleton, but the voice box is long gone. It's like dismantling a stereo and finding only the empty shell. The speakers are missing. How would you know what music it once played? So scientists tried a different approach. Dinosaurs may be extinct, but their relatives are still alive. 2 groups, birds and crocodilians. Birds have a syrinx. Crocodiles have a larynx. Dinosaurs sit between them. So which were they more like? In 2016, University of Texas paleontologist Julia Clark made a remarkable discovery on Vega Island in Antarctica. She found a fossil containing a syrinx. The fossil belonged to an ancient bird called Vegavis, which lived 66 million years ago, at the same time as Tyrannosaurus Rex. Clark CT scanned the syrinx and discovered something astonishing. Its structure was almost identical to the syrinx of modern ducks and geese. In other words, birds already had a syrinx during the age of dinosaurs. But here's the crucial part. Clark and her team spent 2 years searching every known non-avian dinosaur fossil for a syrinx. They found none. 0. That means the syrinx probably evolved later, within birds themselves. So Tyrannosaurus likely did not have a syrinx. It couldn't sing like birds. It couldn't whistle. And it almost certainly couldn't roar, like in the movies, because roaring requires vocal cords. And dinosaurs likely didn't have those either. Wait, no vocal cords, no syrinx. So how did it make any sound at all? The answer might be hiding in a place you've seen before. The zoo. Specifically, crocodiles. Have you ever watched a crocodile make sound? It doesn't open its mouth. It clamps its jaws shut, inflates its throat, and its whole body begins to vibrate. If it's in water, the surface starts dancing violently, like a pot about to boil. This is called closed-mouth vocalization. No vocal cords, no syrinx, just air forced into the throat's soft tissues, vibrating like a drum. Again, Julia Clark. In the same year, she published another study, analyzing the vocal behavior of 208 bird species. She noticed a pattern. The larger the bird, the more likely it is to vocalize with its mouth closed. Ostriches don't sing, they boom. Emus don't chirp, they thump. The deeper the sound, the less the animal needs to open its mouth. And on the evolutionary tree, the birds most closely related to dinosaurs are exactly these giant, non-singing birds. Clark summed it up with a sentence worth remembering. This suggests a completely different Jurassic world. Dinosaurs may not only have had feathers, they may also have inflated their throats and produced deep, closed-mouth rumbling sounds. So now we know. Tyrannosaurus probably vocalized with its mouth closed. But how low was that sound? In 2009, Lawrence Whitmer of Ohio University CT scanned 3 Tyrannosaurus skulls and reconstructed their inner ear structure. He discovered a crucial detail: the cochlea, the spiral structure in the inner ear that converts vibration into nerve signals, was unusually long. Among living animals, a longer cochlea means greater sensitivity to low-frequency sound. Elephants have long cochleae, which is why they can hear sounds around 20 Hz. Mice have short cochleae, below 1000 Hz. They're basically deaf. Tyrannosaurus had one of the longest cochleae of any dinosaur from its era. Its ears were essentially designed for low frequencies. Think about what that implies. If an animal evolves ears specialized for low frequencies, there's a good chance it also produces low-frequency sounds. It's like building a radio that only receives FM, then trying to broadcast on AM. Pointless. So Tyrannosaurus probably communicated using low-frequency sounds. But how low? Low enough to send a chill down your spine. In the BBC documentary The Real T-Rex, Clark conducted an experiment. She combined 2 sound sources: the call of the Eurasian bittern and the deep rumble of the Chinese alligator. Both share distant ancestors with dinosaurs. Then she scaled the sound according to the size of Tyrannosaurus. How big was it? About 12 meters long, standing nearly 4 stories tall, weighing between 8 and 14 tons. 14 tons. That's roughly the weight of a fully loaded cement mixer truck. When the sound was scaled to match that body size, the result wasn't a roar. It was a deep, rhythmic rumble, like the background tone in a horror film. The kind that makes your heart race. You don't hear it, you feel it. The frequency dropped lower and lower, approaching 20 Hz, then even lower. At that point, the human ear hears nothing, but your body still reacts. This is infrasound, sound below 20 Hz. Your ears can't detect it, but it still passes straight through your body. And its effects are unsettling. In 1998, a British engineer named Vic Tandy was working alone late at night in a laboratory. Suddenly he felt strange. Cold sweat, heart palpitations, a sudden, unexplained fear. Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a gray shape, something standing beside him. He spun around. Nothing was there. Most people would have declared the building haunted, but Tandy was an engineer. The next day, he clamped a fencing sword in a vise to polish it, and noticed the blade vibrating wildly. No one touched it. There was no wind, yet it trembled violently. He measured the frequency, 18.98 Hz, right at the threshold of human hearing. Eventually he traced the source, a newly installed ventilation fan in the lab, quietly emitting infrasound. Why did that frequency matter? Because NASA data shows the human eyeball resonates around 18 Hz. When your eyes resonate with infrasound, you may see shapes that aren't there in your peripheral vision. When your chest resonates, breathing becomes difficult, and a powerful sense of dread appears. Tandy turned off the fan. The ghost disappeared instantly. Later he published a paper titled, The Ghost in the Machine. In 2003, an even larger experiment took place. At London's Purcell Room Concert Hall, psychologist Richard Wiseman secretly inserted infrasound into a musical performance. The audience had no idea. After the concert, everyone filled out a questionnaire. 22% reported experiencing unusual anxiety, chills, and a creeping sense of dread during certain passages. They didn't know why, but their bodies did. Now imagine putting all of this together. A 12-meter, 14-ton predator inflates its throat and releases waves of infrasound. You hear nothing. The forest is silent, but suddenly, you struggle to breathe. Shadows flicker at the edges of your vision. A nameless fear rises from your chest. Every hair on your body stands up. Your instincts scream, run, but you don't know where to run, because you don't even know where it is. And it knows exactly where you are. Whitmer's CT scans revealed something else. The olfactory bulbs, the part of the brain that processes smell, were enormous in Tyrannosaurus. It could smell you. Combine that with ears highly sensitive to low frequencies, and snapping a single twig might reveal your position from kilometers away. This wasn't a beast that roared to threaten you. This was a silent hunter. And if you think about it, silence makes far more sense. In the movies, the T-Rex chases people while roaring. In nature, that would be incredibly stupid. What predator announces its arrival? While hunting, lions don't roar while stalking prey. Crocodiles stay silent when approaching. When a cat hunts a mouse, you don't even hear its footsteps. Even Clark herself said, a predator doesn't roar before attacking. The real Tyrannosaurus probably made sound, mainly when communicating with its own kind, during mating, territorial displays, or warnings, just like crocodiles today, which vibrate the water's surface during breeding season, just like elephants, which communicate with infrasound across distances of 10 kilometers. The language of Tyrannosaurus was a low-frequency signal that traveled through forests and soil. It didn't need you to hear it. It only needed another Tyrannosaurus kilometers away to hear it. And you were just a small, irrelevant creature at its feet. But that's still not the most astonishing part. What amazes me most is that the hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, lived in the same world. These herbivores had bizarre crests on their heads, some curved like horns, some shaped like axes. For decades, scientists had no idea what they were for, until CT scans revealed the inside. They weren't solid. Inside was a long, hollow air passage, running from the nostrils to the throat, like a trombone built inside the skull. In 1997, computer scientist Carl Diegert from Sandia National Laboratories and paleontologist Tom Williamson from the New Mexico Museum of Natural History did something no one had attempted before. They CT scanned a fossil skull of Parasaurolophus, precisely modeled the hollow passage, and used a supercomputer to simulate airflow through it. The resulting sound? Williamson described it with 2 words: otherworldly. A deep, echoing resonance, like the horn of an ocean liner, blasting through thick fog, or the sound you hear when someone blows into the far end of a long hollow pipe. Because each species had a different crest shape, each had its own unique voice. Parasaurolophus, with its long curved crest like a trombone, produced the deepest and most powerful tone. And once again, much of that sound fell into low frequencies, even infrasound. Now close your eyes. Imagine the late Cretaceous, 66 million years ago. You stand at the edge of a dense conifer forest. The air is hot and humid. Oxygen levels are higher than today. Every breath feels strangely sharp and clear. The soil beneath your feet is reddish-brown, soft and warm. A shallow river runs nearby. Several giant reptiles lie on the banks, basking in the sun. Everything is quiet, unnaturally quiet. No birds singing. Well, actually there are birds, but their calls sound nothing like the ones you know. More like honking geese, mixed with strange reptilian tones. Then you feel it, not hear it. A faint vibration, rising from the ground, like someone striking a giant drum. Far away, your chest tightens slightly. A few seconds later, another pulse. Stronger this time. Then a third. Closer. You look down at a puddle. The surface trembles. Not from wind, but from vibrations. Coming through the earth. You look up. The jungle is still. You see nothing, but every hair on your body tells you something is approaching, and you can't even hear its footsteps. The only sound you hear is your own heart beating faster and faster. That was the real soundscape of Earth 66 million years ago. Not the earth-shaking roars of Jurassic Park, but a world you couldn't hear. A world that spoke in vibrations and hunted in silence. The most terrifying thing about Tyrannosaurus Rex wasn't how loud it was how quiet it was. And right now, as you sit here, with this video playing through your phone, your ears are receiving sounds between 20 and 2000 hertz. But outside that range, in frequencies you cannot hear, a vast world is constantly in motion. Elephants use it to communicate. Goldfish use it to sing. The warning signs of earthquakes hide inside it. Even the strange unease you sometimes feel in old buildings might come from a rusty pipe, releasing vibrations around 18 hertz. 66 million years ago, a 12-meter predator ruled the earth with that frequency. It never needed to roar. It only needed to exist. And the way it existed was by making your body feel fear before your mind even realized the danger.